All right. It is 1 a.m. here on a Sunday morning. Earlier this evening, which was Saturday night, really, um, I ordered myself some Uber Eats, nice big dinner, and decided, okay, I'm going to relax and enjoy my meal while watching the first two episodes of Star Fleet Academy and have a nice evening. Just a chill Saturday evening by myself. I had a great week. Just did some great sales and stuff, and I of course wanted to celebrate as I often do on Saturday night if I'm not going out with friends or a date or something like that. So I sit down to Starfleet Academy, and I'm already like skeptical anyway. I know from Star Trek Discovery, which is horrible, and we're going to discuss maybe just a tad bit of that. It's just so atrocious to me, what Star Trek Discovery is, and so many aspects of that show is just a disaster, and actually wrong. I really truly believe Gene Roddenberry would be rolling over in his grave at the sight of Star Trek Discovery. I was so excited when I saw the trailers and the previews and everything for Star Trek Discovery. It looked beautiful, looked excellent. And then you watch episode one, you're like, what the hell is this? And then two and three. And I keep trying to give it a chance, but eventually I just gave up. There's multiple episodes, whole seasons, I think, that I just did not watch because I was so mad. It actually angered me to watch Star Trek Discovery. So, and then there was all these sort of little things here and there. Brave New World is not too bad, actually. There's some pretty good stuff there, actually. And then I heard Section 31 was just atrocious. Like, everybody slammed it. So I don't even want to touch it. To me, that's just like a diseased potato that I don't want to catch, and just don't want to even see it. It's a shame because Michelle Yeoh is amazing, and to take someone like her and just have a horrible movie and really hurt the Star Trek franchise like it probably did is not good. So now we've got Starfleet Academy. Right off the get, when I saw the trailers and the previews, I was like, I don't know, the idea is actually pretty cool. I like the idea, but then I saw pictures of just literally the picture for it is this picture where all the students are laying down on the ground, sort of entangled with one another. It just felt like a soapy, cheesy Grey's Anatomy version of Star Trek right off the bat. Where all just sort of the guys are got their hands behind their head, they're laying together, their heads are sort of together on the ground. The idea is that they're at Starfleet Academy in San Francisco, and they're students learning and interacting, I guess, and having romantic things. It just felt more like that. It wasn't the Star Trek that I know and love, which is Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Those three shows are it for me, and a lot of love for the original series and characters as well, with Kirk, Spock, Sulu, all of them. And this really goes to my main point, which is Star Trek Discovery was woke Star Trek. And woke Star Trek is not Star Trek. Star Trek doesn't need to be woke. In fact, woke is a horrible mindset right from the get-go, which we can discuss. But it does not work for TV. You can see overwhelmingly woke shows are horrible shows. They're not entertaining. And Star Trek is not woke because woke is a faulty ideology. And this is coming from somebody who is from a Baha'i background that sees every human being as part of their one human family. I don't believe in races. I believe in one human race. There is actually no such thing as races. There's just the human race. And woke ideology is the complete opposite of that. They think they're fighting social justice by identifying everyone by their races and the traumas and the differences between races. So it's a very much hyper-focused mindset on races. And then therefore the victim mentality comes into play, the traumas that young people have or whatever. And it's really a faulty ideology. It's not how you achieve true unity in any group, and in fact it causes disunity and it causes horrible characters, and it's horrible. And we've seen this now over the last 10 years, particularly with Disney. Tons and tons of woke shows and woke movies have just been slammed. The original fans are completely turned off. They did this with Lord of the Rings. They did this with The Witcher. They did it with Star Trek. And there's been tons of other movies that are just woke, and they don't work. I don't know if Disney's gotten the message yet, but woke ideology is not going to entertain. It actually makes people hate it. That's why I can't watch the Lord of the Rings TV show with the really woke elf girl who's just better. Like, their characters are horrible. Now, I have to make this very clear in this woke world sometimes that we live in, that I love a badass female character. I love diverse characters. I love Star Trek. Star Trek was always like that. The original Star Trek from the get-go, which was Gene Roddenberry visions, was humanity into the future. We are interacting with alien species, and the interesting dynamics of conflicts of culture and just different alien species. But at the end of the day, they are always unified. Like, the crew itself is all human with the exception of Spock, who's technically half human, but he identifies as Vulcan, which is great. He lives a Vulcan lifestyle, and he's one of Star Trek's most absolute beloved characters. Right at the top three. It's probably Jean-Luc Picard, Spock, maybe Kirk after him, or Captain Janeway maybe after that. And you look at the original crew of Star Trek, and Gene Roddenberry's vision was they don't even mention it. That's the way that you have to deal with social justice and differences of backgrounds is really the better way to put it. So, like, the bridge crew has a Japanese guy, a Russian guy, and a black woman. Captain Kirk is just a white guy, I guess. And then you have Spock, and then I guess you could also say the Doctor and the Chief, both white guys there. But look, just the bridge crew of the original Star Trek was the right way to show unity and diversity. And that's really the two mindsets I believe we're competing with here, is the woke ideology and the unity and diversity ideology. Woke ideology hyper focuses on race. Unity and diversity uses science, which is what Star Trek should always be, which is that there is no such thing as races. There's just the human race. And so the idea that there's a difference between Sulu and Chekhov and Uhura is more about background. It's a part of who they are as individuals, but they're seen as one human race, and that's it. They never talk about race in any other way except like on actual episodes, like where they have the species where they're half black and half white on one side, and then the other race is half white and half black on the other side, and they're fighting against each other. And that was obviously an episode about race. They were discussing how ridiculous it is, the Enterprise crew and stuff like that, and that's good. That's how you deal with that type of issue, is you talk about the ridiculousness. But woke Star Trek literally dives into it, because woke ideology is a faulty way to get to unity. It's actually ironic ideology, because they believe in woke ideology that they're fighting social injustice and that they're causing good. They believe that they are morally correct to the point where they're actually abusive and argumentative and rude and basically social justice warriors, that we call out racism anywhere we see it. We're rude, abrasive, whatever it takes to get justice is actually the mindset that really has defined the woke movement that has been out for the last 10, 15 years. I believe it's been sort of pushed back on a lot with Trump America. In fact, I believe a big part of why Trump got elected the second time was because most of America was just like, this stuff is BS. And the Democrats themselves went so woke that they lost the middle, lost the middle. Just ridiculous what they did there. And so, stuff like a trans woman is a woman, most of the middle Americans go like, no, that doesn't make sense. Men should be in women's sports. That doesn't make sense. All that ideology doesn't actually align with science or common sense. But that's what wokeism kind of became, and that mindset and that ideology. But also, it's just rude and abrasive. When the original mindset of woke ideology came out with stuff like, "Are you woke?" Just in the first place, I was immediately like, "Hell yeah, I'm woke." When it was explained that this means to be awakened to social injustices, I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to be that person. We all do." If Native Americans are not treated right, or people of all different backgrounds are not treated right, we need to be aware and work on that as a greater society, as a society that's growing together from all different backgrounds and so forth. Same with the term of social justice warrior. When that term came out, I remember going, hell yeah, I want to be a social justice warrior. Because it sounds amazing, it sounds cool. But then when you see it in action and really ponder how it's being attributed and the mindset that you have to be in to actually follow those terms, which again, I just quoted all under the umbrella of wokeism, or the woke mind virus, as I believe Elon Musk coined. I saw very, very quickly that there was something wrong here. It just did not resonate right. It did not seem honorable, integrity, nor moral at all. And then it really was able to really ponder wokeism and how it is actually a full-on mindset, first of all, and then the actions that flow from that mindset are wrong. It just doesn't work. And so I want to say to people that have really fallen into the woke mindset, look, your ultimate purpose and goal is actually a noble goal. That if you're trying to establish society that is better off, that people are better off, people from especially lesser or harder conditions, say the black race or women or trans people, whatever, gays, of course, all human beings need to be treated with love and respect. But the way you guys got there was, first of all, just mean and abrasive right from the get-go. The idea of just canceling people is not noble. It's not spiritual. It doesn't follow the teachings of Christ or any of the prophets of God. It's definitely not the way that Martin Luther King achieved the civil rights, I guess you could say. The civil rights that he pushed for, his way of doing it was not a woke way at all. So if you guys want to claim Martin Luther King in your woke ideology, you can't, because he's using a completely different style, which is basically unity and diversity. That's the way you achieve true unity, which is, first of all, use science and say, look, there is no such thing as races. We need to teach ourselves and permeate through our children and our culture that there's no such thing as races, that there's the human race, that we're all part of one human family. And the differences between us are characteristics that just make us. I mean, think about it for a second. Why have we separated ourselves through the concept of races and therefore, and then by extension, wokeism, which is really just the extreme version of that mindset, where we hyper focus that people are different? That immediately causes disunity. If you start to see yourself through the woke mindset or just the concept of races, you are already in a mindset that you have to pull out of that mindset first and foremost. You have to recognize that it doesn't align with common sense and true reality, true science. And science simply says there is no such thing as races. There's one human race. There's no such thing as a black race, a white race, an Asian race, Jewish race. There are human beings. Any male and female human being, is able to have children with one another, and then those children have a diverse genetic background. But everyone's human beings, and whatever their looks are, they're part of their genetics. They're part of their characteristics. It's no different from a short person and a tall person, or a person with blonde hair, or a person with brunette hair or black hair. It's characteristics. But for some reason, our society culturally created this thing called races and divided us into a white race, a black race, an Asian race, and you could say we've done it with nationalities, the Russians and the Americans and the Chinese. This is part of human nature's lower childhood mindsets and mentalities, and it has no place in this modern world. And to be honest, when I think about it, I know we'll look back 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years, and look back at, say, 2026 and say, God, how could they be so stupid? How could they not look at, like, kids, literally 5-year-olds who are being taught history, will look back at 2026 and, preceding years and go, why would they divide themselves because of skin color? Like, literally, how do you know which one's a black race and white race? Like, where's the line? Nobody really knows. I've seen scholars and academics and people of well-known stature talking about these things. Well, that's black because even though one parent's white and one parent's black, that person's black. Whereas their sibling who's way more light-skinned, well, they're white purely on looks, or are they white because it's winter and then in the summer they get a lot darker because they got some more tan or something. Oh, now they've just become black because of darker skin. It has absolutely no basis in actual science or reality again, and the hyper focusing on it actually is the problem and not the way to solution. Definitely not the way to true social justice. It's just such a mean, abrasive environment. When you see the woke protests, woke environments, the college kids, they are literally looking to become these morally superior individuals that are looking to cancel people. They literally are going through people's social media accounts looking for one statement, one little video, one little picture that they can cancel you for, and therefore feel literally morally superior because, look, we found racism, we called it out publicly and got somebody fired from their job. And they did this. There was a 3, 4, 5 year period where a lot of people were just super scared to say anything. That's why I think it kind of took off for just a little bit. And you could see it all over the place. The universities were like harboring this. The professors weren't really helping. Some were pushing back, like your Jordan Peterson, and there was the guy at Evergreen State or Evergreen University, whatever that was, who pushed back on this stuff. And thank God for them. Love Jordan Peterson for all the work and ways that he really dealt with this, and other professors like that. But a lot of American politicians, the Democrats in general, just went woke. They just thought, oh, this is the way we're going. This is how we're going to do things. And they made the biggest mistake. The Democratic Party is in shambles. They have been decimated over the last 2-3 years. It's why Trump's been reelected. They should have took over in the Biden years. They should have taken the middle ground of America. Because when Trump left office after his first term, he had done horrible with COVID because it came in his last year. And then he had the big riots, the Capitol riots. Also is just a signal of him being a big loss, a big travesty, a big failure. It all attributed to him. So all the Democrats had to do was be the noble, moral politicians, which is an oxymoron right there, counterintuitive there, because I'm just not a fan of politicians in general. It doesn't matter if you're red or blue, whatever. But that's also part of the problem. I don't identify, by the way, as Democrat or Republican, conservative, liberal. That's part of the problem. We're dividing ourselves into groups, and America's never been more divided in its politics. So I like noble leaders, and you don't see any nobility in Trump. And then Biden was just kind of a joke who looked like he was going to die, to be honest, at any moment as our president, which would have been weird. Just looked totally incapable, can barely string sentences together at times. I'm just using those as sort of examples of, look, wokeism is a horrible way to go, guys. I know from the get-go, it had a noble mindset, which again was to fight social injustice, but how you got there and the way you had to think through wokeism to get to that result, I'm telling you right now, does not align at all with Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders that we've had both in America but throughout the world. It's not. It has to be a noble thing. It has to be a forgiving thing. It has to be something where it says, look, you made a mistake in the 80s. the way you said this term or this ideology, this video or this costume or whatever, you could see is a little weird or abrasive. Look, we've all got that old world mentality of races still in our brains, and we have to look at each other as growing human beings, as fellow brothers and sisters that are never perfect. We're never perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to say things awkwardly when it may not even be in our heart. We may have racist things in our heart as well. But again, the solution to it is not to hyper focus on races or racism, but rather start to teach ourselves and teach our society, and definitely our kids who go into the next generation, that we're one human race, which is exactly what science teaches us. For some reason, our society has not grasped this concept that we are one race. And this is not a cultural thing, it's not a spiritual thing, it's not a religious thing. It's just me saying what science has already proven. We're one human race, because that's why I can marry a woman from any background on the planet, and assuming that we're both healthy, we both have the ability to create children as man and woman, absolutely, we'll have beautiful children of diverse backgrounds. But everybody in that picture, the three people, mother, father, and parent and child, are all human beings, and as different as my child could look from me, it's still my daughter or my son. They're still a human being just like me with a soul, and that's how you achieve unity in diversity, which is really a Baha'i term, but it's really the best way to look at it. Is we're one human race as one human family, and treat all human beings that way, and racism doesn't even exist. It's kind of my point here, is racism doesn't even have to exist. You just change your mindset first. Get out of that mindset that there is such thing as races, as a black race or white race. Forget about all this stuff about social injustices. You're black, so therefore your life is harder. Sure, we're all individuals with all different types of conditions. You could be a black person raised with tons of money. You could be a black person who's poor, just like a white person. Don't tell me that there isn't the same thing. But those are not persons. They're the same. They're one human family with different skin tones and backgrounds, and we're all unique, diverse individuals. And the only way to fix racism and stuff like that is, first of all, just get out of the mindset that there is such thing as races. Once you've done that, then racism actually doesn't exist anymore. There's no room. There's no oxygen to feed this concept of racism. You don't treat people differently when you see them as part of your same human race, part of your same human family. That's it. That's the solution right there. Cut and simple. So I might have to chop this video into pieces, but going back to Starfleet Academy. So I guess it's Star Trek Starfleet Academy is the term we're going to be using here. It feels like it's already a lot of a continuation of the woke Star Trek Discovery, which is horrible. So here's the problem with a lot of these shows. You have typically, at least 5 years ago, with your Lord of the Rings TV show on Amazon, which is horrible. Again, I watched like one episode and I could barely get through that first episode just because it's so angering how they have a female character. Same with Star Trek Discovery. She's a badass. Like I can write a woke script right now. You've always got a female character, even better if she's not white, I guess. So you have a diverse female character. She's a badass. She's better than all men. She's got amazing innate skills already. She's almost a prophet. Like, she's just destined to be amazing. But she has to deal with annoying men, usually. That's usually what it always comes down to, that you can, like I said, write these scripts. So there's always men who are stopping her from being this amazing individual. And she has to overcome the trials and tribulations of men somehow because she's a woman of color or background. And yet they're better, they're stronger, they're more physically, like they beat all the men always, like easily. And then it's just a whole show of woe is me. And the characters around them are just what? And in a Star Trek world, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit in at all with Next Gen, well, the original and Next Gen and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. And I think even that prequel series, forget the name off the top of my head, Jonathan Archer, that captain, which wasn't a big fan of that. I never really liked the idea of going back in time anyway. So all those shows that went back in time, like Brave New World, it annoys me from the get-go, although Brave New World is not too bad. But, and that's not what the Star Trek Mafia apparently want. The Trekkies wanted a show that really continues on after the times of, say, Voyager. That's where I really feel like things sort of left off. Although we had the show Picard for a few series, which is more like a homage show, like a honoring Next Generation, our characters that we love there with Picard, and we really see the rest of the Next Generation crew and 7 and 9 through that series. And I had some issues with that because there was definitely a lot of wokeism tied into that. It was like 2015 through 2020, we just had this horrible period. It was a horrible time actually for Star Trek Picard to come out, because I think the Disney or whoever owns Paramount, whoever owns Star Trek, but all media and TV was just being infused with the woke ideology because it was so hot right then. I thought this was the way to go. And I don't know. I really wonder if these guys have really learned how horrible it is, because you see it in a lot of Marvel went super woke, and it just ruined Marvel in many regards. That's why people hate Miss Marvel, who's an amazing character, but she was super woke. She-Hulk was a little bit woke, and it again ruined that. Ironheart, all of these I watched, and I was really excited. Again, people might watch this and think, oh, he's a sexist, and that's just not true. I can go back and just look personally at my favorite characters, and I love lots and lots of cool female badasses, whether it's Ripley from Aliens, Sarah Connor from Terminator, Captain Janeway. God, I would love for her to be my personal captain of my starship. I love Captain Janeway. She's amazing, to the point where sometimes I even debate, would I want it to be Jean-Luc Picard, Captain Janeway, or even Sisko as my leader, my commander, my captain. And ultimately, I do tinge towards Captain Jean-Luc Picard. I have to. I mean, the guy loves ancient history like me, and he's just so noble in the heat of tough situations. And it's Patrick Stewart, guys. Come on, guy's just such a cool actor. He just he just vibes true leadership, nobility. He's been tested and grown and developed into the noble captain and admiral that we see. But I love Janeway and I love Sisko. They're just great. And that's the Star Trek I love. That's the Star Trek we need. It doesn't need that woke ideology imprinted on top of it, because it doesn't work. In fact, it's counterintuitive to Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek, which was, we have people with different backgrounds. We don't acknowledge it. We don't need to. They're part of one crew, like I said, the original crew of the Star Trek Enterprise, with Kirk at the helm as the captain, but then the rest of the bridge crew, they're all diverse at a time. And you got to really think about how amazing Star Trek was, and Gene Roddenberry's vision was so amazing to get on TV at a time in the 60s where we had such contention with Russia, and you have there a Russian character right there with Chekhov. We're still having issues with segregation, of course, in America in the 60s. So you have Uhura. And I like to point out that Whoopi Goldberg and many people have cited how just seeing Uhura as part of the main bridge crew and seen as an equal with the bridge crew, because she is an equal, they loved it. They loved it. That's why Whoopi Goldberg got into Next Generation. She's such a fan of Star Trek. Some people even said that's why they became actors. Black actors have said they became actors because they saw Uhura. They didn't hyper-focus that Uhura was black and Chekhov was Russian, and what's his name? Sulu was Japanese. They're just characters, and we knew that they came from those backgrounds, and they were just seen as equals and teammates and human beings. And Spock was a straight up alien. That's truly when you have a different race, when you have literally different races. But in Star Trek, again, they just see, they have honor, integrity, and respect for all living life forms. That's the next level of unity. We in the planet Earth and America, Australia, wherever we are still delving on just getting past the mindset that we're the same race. We can't, people think there's these things called races, which is, again, a fully culturally created phenomenon based on politics of the day and age and just human beings perpetuating this concept of races. We need to take off the S and see ourselves as a one human race, because that's literally truth and reality in science. So Star Trek already did that in the 60s. Gene Roddenberry was that, I don't know, in tune with reality, that he saw the future. And what makes Star Trek, I think, also very special is it's not a negative view of the future. What's the terms that we use? It's off the tip of my tongue, but his view was more utopian. Like he sees humanity as it is now, and that we actually grow and develop and mature as a human race, and then start getting into space, and even interacting and with alien species, and then they become part of the Federation. And the Federation is about a unity, the United Federation of Planets. Literally, it's in the word, just like the United States of America, United Federation. That's really just Gene Roddenberry kind of looking at the United States and all its unique diversity. Like that was part of America's ethos as well, that we brought in all these people of all different backgrounds in America, and they started intermixing. And that's part of what makes the United States of America very special. And really, you could say right now, absolutely the most influential country on the planet. There's no doubt. There's no country that really can claim more influence and power in that regard. Whether you have your China or other places that are doing amazing things, but we're all coming together as one planet. And these are the problems that we're having, is the old world mentalities are now being really challenged. Especially when they don't scientifically and logically make sense. And one of those big ones right now is simply the concept of races and dividing ourselves into groups. But Gene Roddenberry's vision was beyond this. He said, we got past this. We became united as a planet. Then we started traveling. And then we started realizing, okay, let's continue to unite planets and form a federation of planets. That's a unity. That's the core concept right there. And then what's exciting and the drama that we need for a TV series is just the interactions with different alien species. Yes, there's bad guys and people do bad things, but originally there was the Klingons. Now the Klingons and the Federation are united, or they're working together. There's a truce. We even see that in the movies. It's all into my tongue. It's famous, the Khmer Accords or whatever, where they sign a treaty, and then now the Federation and the Klingon Empire are really interacting and becoming friends and working together. And you have characters like Worf, who's I think been in more TV episodes of Star Trek than any other character. So you've got and one of the most beloved characters in Star Trek, of course, is Worf. I mean, when he's at least in three shows. He's in Next Generation, of course, Deep Space Nine, the last 3 or 4 seasons of Deep Space Nine, or maybe 5 seasons there. And he's in Picard, of course, as well. So Worf arguably is actually been in more episodes as a character than any other character. And he's an alien, played by a black man, also to point that out. So, Star Trek Discovery, trash, and it angers me as a Trekkie. It literally makes me mad, and you alienated people like myself by making Star Trek Discovery. So shame on you guys. I know you had your best intentions. You wanted to make sure that everyone watched, and you wanted to show social justice, and you had all these weird characters who were socially awkward and about inclusiveness, and all that stuff was trying to be there. You were pushing something on us. It's not how you're supposed to do it. Star Trek, you can watch the first 5 shows of Star Trek before that, and you'll see that's not how they did it. They never pushed a social agenda onto us, and you did it with Star Trek Discovery. And now I'm just super skeptical of any Star Trek now because I don't want to be hurt. It's like like you've been married to a woman, and then she just changes on you, and now you're super skeptical of the next relationship or something. It's something like that. It just feels like, okay, I've been hurt, and I just don't want to go through that pain again. That's what Star Trek Discovery was for me. Now I'm having it again with Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Concept seems cool, and I'm just going to go into what I felt watching the first 2 episodes, because there's a lot to unpack. First of all, it's a whirlwind. It throws you into all this stuff. There's this thing called the burn, which I remember vaguely from, I guess that was from Star Trek Discovery, and I need to go back and research again what the burn was, but it was something where all the ships exploded. So Starfleet and the Federation of Planets were just like severely disabled for several decades or something. So that has to do with the plot lines of this show, and that they're sort of restarting Starfleet Academy. Now the Federation and Starfleet in general are sort of bouncing back after the burn. Now we're going to have Starfleet Academy start back up and start to build up, I guess, a new generation of Federation or Starfleet officers and trainees, etc. It starts off with this weird storyline about a mother and her son, and because the mother took food from a man and didn't realize that he'd taken it illegally. First of all, why is food a commodity? In the Star Trek I know, we have replicators, and you literally just walk over a machine and say, I want this, and it makes the food for you. So why is that even a thing? Okay, so maybe on some far out planet they need food. Okay, and so she takes food from this guy. He apparently stole it, and now she is in trouble because she took stolen food, even though she didn't know it was stolen. And first of all, it's food. If somebody needs food, they're going to take food. Otherwise they die. And so you have this Starfleet captain who goes on to be the official captain of this show, I guess you could say. I need to bring up the character list. I had it here in front of me. So you have Captain Nala Aki, which is an interesting name, played by Holly Hunter. I like Holly Hunter. I like Fargo and everything. She's a good actor. I've seen her do a lot of good things, so you always recognize her. But for some reason, she decides, well, I can't do anything. You took food, stolen food, so you have to go to jail for this. So she separates a mother from her son because the mother took food from a guy that stole it. He stole it. He goes to jail too. Okay, fine. But why does she need to go to jail? Doesn't make any sense. Separate the son. Then she's like, it's this weird creepy thing. Like, you don't even know if she's a bad guy or a good guy. Like, I was like, are we supposed to not like this woman or not because of the way she's acting? And I'm still out on it. I mean, I know they're making her out to be the noble captain of this series, but so far, I'm not too happy so far. Okay, so that's how the show starts off, and the son gets away, which is just messed up. So, okay, the son gets away in some amazing escape. He's literally like 5 or 6 years old looking in this. So he gets away, and that's how, and then now we jump to the future, and now he's like this, probably 19-year-old kid who's been, living off the grid or whatever, and looking for his mother the entire time, looking for a way to, I guess, break out of jail. And he's a badass because he had to live under these horrible circumstances. Now that is a background I'm okay with. I like a character that lived a hard life, but that makes them into a badass. That's a spiritual principle that the more tests and trials and tribulations we go through actually do make us grow and develop into stronger, better individuals, as long as our heart remains honorable. If you let that turn you into a bad person, that's not good. But if you go through trials and tribulations and it makes you more capable, more resilient, that's great. as long as, of course, you're a good human being. That's what they're trying to do with this kid, whose name would be Caleb Meir. It's an interesting name. I'm kind of cool with it, Caleb Meir. And so now we're seeing her like meet up with Caleb. Now they caught him, and she's like, well, come be with us in Starfleet Academy. The kid, by the way, is just like all over the place, breaking laws and doing this stuff. And now she just wants to, I guess because she feels guilty now, finally, that he is, that she separated a mother from son, and even put the mother in prison. There was no reason. That part of the story doesn't make any sense why the mother needed to go to prison. So, okay, I feel guilty now. So come with me and be in Starfleet Academy. The kid doesn't want to be in Starfleet Academy. She's just sort of forcing him to be in Starfleet Academy. And she kind of blackmails him into saying, well, if you come with me, we can help find your mother now, who's apparently broken out of jail. Everyone breaks out of Starfleet jails, apparently. The bad guy breaks out of jail. The mother breaks out of jail. And this kid broke away from her earlier on. So all in one episode, by the way. So then we finally get to the ship. So the ship, she says, is the Starfleet Academy. So I'm like, oh, the whole thing's going to be on a ship, but it's a training, like a university on a ship. It's called the USS Athena. I love that. The look of it is amazing. See the good things I love. I love the ship. I love how the nacelles essentially detach. It looks like this big, I forget what the name of that type of figure is, but it's a beautiful looking ship. USS Athena is a great name for the goddess of wisdom. Love all this. The ship looks amazing. Love it. And so he's meeting like all these other sort of students. And it's just sort of a flurry where he meets a Klingon and all these other ones. So first off, the Klingon character, fine. He looks fine, whatever. He looks like a Klingon. A little bit weird. I wish it was a little bit closer to what I know of the Klingons look like in Star Trek and Deep Space Nine, but it's okay. I feel like there was this weird Discovery thing where they warped the Klingons to look weird, and I know there's the whole storyline where the Klingons look different in the original Star Trek and then to the Next Generation Star Trek, and Worf says, we don't talk about it or something, which is fine. It was just a way to kind of cover up how they look quite different from the original to the Next Generation side, but the thing that annoys me about this Klingon character is he talks really weird. He doesn't talk like every other Klingon character you've seen in Star Trek, Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, like Worf, of course, but all the other Klingons that we interact with, they always have a tough and rough attitude, but they speak essentially normal, like they feel fine. This guy has this weird voice that he's just putting on, and it just feels fake. It doesn't feel realistic. It doesn't feel like it aligns with the Star Trek that I know. So I'm already annoyed by his voice. I just can't, it's hard for me to get past his voice and the way he's speaking it. So that's annoying. But there's a character that's even worse, and that's the second in command who we meet. I have multiple issues with this character off the bat. One, she is female Jem'Hadar, which we already know the Jem'Hadar don't have females. They're not even, they don't have mates. They literally are cloned or created beings, and they're cloned just to be warriors by the Dominion. Okay, so the Dominion Wars are over. I guess the Dominion has been sort of knocked back because of the Dominion Wars, because they really sort of, mess with the founders and all that history that I know very well, guys. So, okay, fine. Maybe they do have female Jem'Hadar now. And when they mentioned that she was Jem'Hadar, at first I saw her and it didn't click in my head that she was Jem'Hadar. I know I should have in my head, but I just saw her. I guess because I'd never seen a female Jem'Hadar before, it didn't click in my head from her face and of course the features that she was Jem'Hadar. But as soon as I said it, I was like, oh yeah, of course she's a female Jem'Hadar. I get it now. But then in my head I was like, I've never seen or heard of, and I thought about it, they don't have female Jem'Hadar. So how does that even happen? Where's the actress? I'm trying to find her on this list. But you know what annoys me more than anything about her is her accent. She has a very distinct British accent. It's one of the parts of England. I don't know the UK that well, and all the different accents from the different cities, because England bizarrely retains a lot of distinct accents for different parts of the UK. let alone Scottish and Irish. So it is a British accent of distinctness. It's not that London accent, if you ask me, or it's a very distinct type of London accent, if it is from London. I would need a British person to tell me that's what that accent is, because I don't know that well where I can say what type of British accent it is. All I know is it's very distinct, it's very prominent, and I think, if anything, that this actor who plays this role is just literally doing the accent from that is personally what she has. Like she is from that place in London, and that's the accent she's doing. Then later on in either episode 1 or 2, I think it's episode 2, she mentions that her mother taught her that today is a good day to die. Now, as a trained Trekkie, I know, oh, that's a Klingon thing. And so I was like, oh, so maybe she's half Jem'Hadar and on her mother's side, half Klingon. How that happens, who knows? Again, Jem'Hadars don't even have kids. They probably weren't even bred to have kids. But hey, look, we can sort of we can get around that with good writing and just say, oh yeah, somehow now, it's been some time since the Dominion War that this show is taking place. It can happen. And I can definitely see how a Klingon woman would respect a Jem'Hadar. They're badass warriors. That's what Klingon women typically like and want. So I can see how that could happen. And now we have a half Klingon, half Jem'Hadar woman. Fine. Totally fine with that. I actually like the idea of a Jem'Hadar in Starfleet. But the accent, it drives me crazy. I just listen to her and I'm just like, why would a half Klingon Jem'Hadar woman have a very distinct British accent? It just doesn't work for me. And then you could say, well, why do all the other characters in Star Trek have an American accent? Look, we know it's an American show. It's made in America. Doesn't mean we can't have British actors like Captain Jean-Luc Picard and many others, I'm sure, from all different backgrounds. But it pulls me out of reality. Out of the fantasy of the show, and it drives me crazy right from the get-go. So I'm going to have to get used to that. Now, I love that Robert Picardo is in it. I want to make sure that I'm saying the things that I do like, although I overwhelmingly find a lot of annoying things that I have with this show. So I love Robert Picardo as the Doctor. It's a little unclear to me if he's supposed to be the Doctor from Voyager, literally that same hologram, because we do know that hologram was designed to be multiple holograms of that same Doctor made after the image of its creator, Dr. Zimmerman. See, I know my Star Trek, guys. Watched it a lot over and over. And so I hope they make that a little more clear. Maybe they said it, but again, the show is such a whirlwind. The first 2 episodes were such a whirlwind where they're throwing characters at you, literally just naming characters. And they didn't really give you much background and everything to it. I'm trying to find that number, the commander who's the Jem'Hadar on this list, and I just can't seem to find her. Another character they have is this character named Sam. She's also a hologram. She's socially awkward. She's like super positive, high energy. It's like, I feel like it's the woke TV stuff coming again, where they have all these sort of characters that are supposed to be like indicative to today's teens and all the social awkwardness that they have and how we're supposed to be loving and accepting and embracing of them. It just feels a little bit forced down my neck, but it's okay. I'm open to her character. I like the idea of a hologram create a character, another one besides the Doctor, as one of the students. And of course she's got some skills that she can bring, and she talks about how she comes from a whole society or planet or community of holograms, although they call themselves photonics. Is the term they prefer. Again, feels a little woke right there, but that's fine. She says that to the Doctor, and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it's not done in a very morally way, like, "Oh, we call ourselves photonic." It wasn't that abrasive type of woke thing. It was just sort of a throw a line where she points it out, and she's so happy to meet the Doctor as another hologram and wants him to be her mentor. So interesting character there. One of the characters I definitely like so far, if I can find her on this list, is Genesis Lythe. I have to look at the list, by the way, because they threw these characters at you like a whirlwind. All these names are thrown at you in episodes 1 and 2, and so there's no way to remember more than 2 or 3 of the characters' names. So obviously even Captain Nala Aki, I had to kind of look up. I definitely remembered Caleb Meir, because he's kind of what they're making to be one of the central characters. This kid that had a horrible background and is for some reason forced into Starfleet Academy, and he's looking for his mother as his ultimate goal. Really, he doesn't want to be there. He's just sort of going along with it because it can get him to his real result, which is he wants to be with his mother. He wants to find his mother. So that's just all weird. Paul Giamatti, great, bad guy, just sort of comes out of nowhere, but he's a good actor, of course. He's always been a great actor, so they throw him in the first episode as the bad guy. So yeah, going back to Genesis Lythe, I like her character so far. She seems cool. There's the classic bully scene, which is such a overdone thing. Hollywood, get over yourself. We've seen the bully scene over and over and over, and it's done. It's stupid. We're over it. It's so dumb that you need to, I'm just saying to the writer right now, you need to be ashamed of yourself, of what you just wrote in there with that whole character, that whole thing where you have this character who automatically is picking a fight with a Klingon. That, first of all, just doesn't make sense. No moron who knows what Klingons are would pick a fight with a Klingon, because a Klingon will fight you, period. But for some reason, this Klingon is not like any other Klingon we know. He's more scientific based. That's cool. I understand that. There was always that sort of thing where in certain societies, there were people that didn't fit the mold of the rest of them, like a Klingon that's not really a warrior, that more is a scientific person. They have similar with Cardassians and other characters, even Ferengi, where people like Ferengis that aren't really involved with money making, like they don't care about that as much, where they go sort of against the culture, which is fine. It's good. So his character, I'm fine with that, is a Klingon that is more scientific minded and wants to learn science. But I'm sorry, you don't. This other kid whose name is Darem Remy, who's also an alien species, but for some reason he doesn't present as his true alien species. He has this device that makes him look human. So you see that in episode 1, where he changes to his original alien species so he can go outside. Apparently they can walk for at least 8 minutes on the ship, which, okay, I guess I can believe. He almost dies, of course, but he's the bully. He picks a fight with a Klingon with a very stereotypical bully scene, and it gets broken up by the Doctor ultimately. But I'm sorry, that whole scene is just atrocious. And now we're continuing on that he is the asshole, basically, of Starfleet Academy, who's contentious with Caleb Meir's character. They hate each other because Caleb Meir steps up for he just sort of made quick buddies with the Klingon thing, and you're setting up like Caleb Meir and the Klingon guy are going to be, which is named Jaden Crag is the Klingon character's name. So they're setting up a sort of a friendship there, maybe a Harry, Kim and Paris friendship, or a O'Brien and Dr. Bashir friendship kind of thing. There's sort of those two guy buddy friendships that we've seen in previous shows. I feel like they could be setting up a nice little friendship there between Jaden Craig and Caleb Meir. But this whole bully thing and the George Hawkins, obviously they're going to become friends because I can tell that Darren Remy he's part of the main cast and he'll always be there. But I don't know. It was just so stupid. That whole scene was really dumb. And then there's there's the entire bridge crew where the captain just walks onto the bridge and she just starts naming off every one of the bridge crew, and they just flash from person to person. So we have no knowledge of who they are, whatever. She just says their names, and we're just got this whirlwind of names that we've already forgotten by the time she's finished with the whole line, because you're going from one into the other. It's just, what the hell was that all about, guys? That's bad writing. A lot of weird things. Um, so then they go through some. They got to have some kind of actual issue where in the first episode, some kind of challenge to overcome. And so you get to know the crew a little bit better, the Starfleet Academy kids a little bit better as they overcome this um, bad guy, Nus Baraka, played by Paul Giamatti, and they overcome it miraculously. I mean, I'm watching it, I'm just kind of going, I know what's going to happen. They're going to do this. They're going to do basic, figure things out, and you're going to see some badassness going on from characters like Sam and Genesis Lythe and Darren Remy and Caleb. All of them pull together to save the ship. And then the ship goes to San Francisco, and they play that song, which is a little bit weird. Are you going to San Francisco? I think it's that song, something like that. I think that's what they played, that song. I found that just a little bit weird, to be honest. It sort of pulled me out of the reality again. But they land at Starfleet Academy in San Francisco. The ship just lands. It actually disconnects from its nacelles, which it leaves, I guess, in orbit, and then the ship itself goes down onto the planet and lands in San Francisco, and it becomes like one of the buildings for Starfleet Academy. And I like that. It's kind of cool. It all looks really beautiful. Again, I love the ship. I think the ship looks amazing. So, they did some good things here. They just did like 80% wrong or really atrocious. I'm still going to continue to watch. I've got high hopes that it will get better. It'll figure itself out. Look, the opening episodes for Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager, had their problems, had some little issues, and they were a little bit awkward. I go back and rewatch those, and I'm like, ugh. They're a little rough for sure, and that's fine. The show's supposed to be a little bit rough, and then it proves itself, and he really gets into itself, and the characters the actors figure out their characters, and the writers do well, and they really figure out. So things are supposed to be a little rough, and you always got to give them some leeway. But so far, I'm very annoyed. For some reason, it's definitely the accent of the female Jem'Hadar and the Klingon guy. Why is he talking like that? They just don't need to. I'm scared that it's going to become super woke. There's just a lot of sort of empowered female women on the show, and I hope they're not pushing that down our throat, because that is the slight difference between woke and unity and diversity, where if you're pushing your social agenda on us, you have socially awkward characters that we're supposed to love, like in Discovery. You can't push it. That's not the way you write things. It should never be written that way. You just need to have the characters there, and we love them because of who they are, and they're part of a unified crew or a unified Starfleet Academy. But if it's going to be like, woe is me, and I'm a woman and I'm better than men, if you're doing that, it's not going to work, and the show is going to fail, just like Discovery is a failure. And what really angers me and upsets me is this can destroy Star Trek. I was afraid Discovery was going to destroy Star Trek. It hasn't. Star Trek is still going on. That's good. I think Paramount knows that they've got a strong IP, but there's been huge mistakes with Star Trek. Discovery is the biggest. Section 31 apparently was a big mistake. I never watched it. I'm not going to watch it anytime soon. I really think, was it called Star Trek Enterprise? The one with Jonathan Archer? Actually, I think that could have been good. It's just, I don't like the concept again of going back in time. So that was actually pre-Kirk era is the idea there. So that annoys me. What I know Star Trek fans want from talking to Trekkies and looking on online chats, they want us to see basically after Picard. We want to see, and I guess this show is after Picard. I guess Discovery's after Picard. I need to actually double check the timeline here, but it looks like it's after the time period of Picard, the outfits, the uniforms, the way it all looks. So I guess this is that time. Why we want a show about Starfleet Academy, I'm okay with that. We got to try new things. I mean, Deep Space Nine, people were mad because there was no ship. But it works and it's great. And they do get a ship, of course, but it's great. Actually, DS9 is fantastic. And I think they keep thinking that they were the bastard child of Star Trek. You hear even the actors say, "Oh, nobody loved us, and we were no, they hate us." I was a little annoyed, but at the same time, I really loved the opening of DS9, and DS9 is effing amazing, effing amazing. In Voyager, love too. That's felt like going a little bit back to the Star Trek we know and love, but even more so, like because they're thrust into was it the Delta Quadrant, and on their way home. So there's sort of an overarching story with Voyager, more than any other show, where you kind of know, okay, from episode 1 through the final episode, the whole point was they're trying to get home. You always had that overarching story, and then you had the little episodes all throughout that, and it just was a great show. And I love all the characters really there. Nobody annoys me that much at all. Most of the characters I overwhelmingly love. I didn't like Harry Kim at first. It took me a second to get used, but I learned to love Harry Kim. And 7 and 9 was just a great addition when the show really needed it, and it worked. And that show is amazing. So Starfleet Academy is going to continue to watch you, but you're on warning. You're on notice. If you go too woke, I'm out. Peace out. Your show is preaching and not based on the reality that I want to live in. Let's clean up those accents a little bit. Maybe I don't know how you're going to change the Jem'Hadar girl. She's just always going to have this very distinct British accent, and we're just going to have to get used to that. Oh, another thing I want to point out, in the second episode, apparently Beta Z has left the Federation because of the burn. So now they're trying to reinstate Beta Z into the Federation of Planets, and they bring in this cool female character. I like that female character that they used for she's a Betazoid, which is reminiscent of Counselor Deanna Troi and all that. And apparently she's super into it, like her skills of reading minds and so forth is so powerful that it can actually hurt people. So she's got some device on her neck that tames her psychic abilities down, I guess. But she seems really cool and fun. I like her character so far, and I know from the pictures that she's going to be a main character, even though she decided to go to the military school and not the Starfleet Academy. So apparently there's a military school and a Starfleet Academy, which is a little weird. So I don't really understand that exactly yet. But what annoyed me, I guess, is the Beta Zeds come in to these negotiations. For some reason, they're at Starfleet Academy with all the students involved, which I guess they kind of explain that well with writings, that there was a young delegation of Beta Zeds that really want there to rejoin the greater universe, because apparently they just cut themselves off during the burn to protect themselves. So it's understandable, the storyline there. But now the young people are really like, we want to get off Beta Z. We're sick of being just on this one planet. We want to start experiencing the universe. And so they're pushing for their parents, so to speak, to let them rejoin the Federation and start exploring the universe again. Cool. And apparently they really need Beta Z included with the Federation. I don't know why exactly. It's this planet of psychics. That's cool. We need every planet. I don't know why one planet has such emphasis, but whatever. What annoyed me, I guess, is when the delegation comes in, the main president of the planet, or whatever he is, they're speaking with sign language. I've never seen Beta Zeds ever use sign language ever in Star Trek, and yet for some reason now that's relevant. It doesn't, when I think about it logically, it doesn't make sense. It's a society that literally talks to each other through their minds. They're all psychic, so they can all talk to each other. They wouldn't even talk that much, I guess, in their own environment, but they do, of course, because most people in the universe aren't psychic and can't talk that way. But why would they be signing? Why do they need to sign? What was that even part of? I felt like that was some weird look. at a minority group, and we're doing this inclusion thing of sign language. It just, that felt a little pushed down my throat and a little preachy, a little bit woke. And I'm just super sensitive to the woke shows, and Star Trek already having so much wokeism pushed into it by Star Trek Discovery, that I'm just sort of sensitive immediately. I'm almost looking out for it, like, where's the next woke thing they're going to do? And we're just really hoping that they, again, don't fall into that trap of wokeism. So yeah, that annoyed me. That's the way I kind of watched these two episodes. As I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh God, why are they doing this? Why are they doing the bully scene? Or why are they doing this accent or whatever? Just, there was multiple things that I kept watching going, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? So don't call me a racist. Don't call me a sexist. Because that makes you a woke idiot. And I'm not. I just know what I am. I'm a human being. I see everyone as my human being. I see alien species as other life forms that are treated with love and respect. That's why I love Star Trek from the beginning, and that's the Star Trek I love. And if you're the Star Trek that preaches minority groups and victim mentality and all the issues that come with wokeism, then you are not part of true Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry's vision. You just aren't. Want to also just say that I'm cool with the actress Jet Reno. I like her. She's funny. I'm not sure about the captain yet. I'm just like right on the edge with Holly Hunter's captain character. Again, the actor Holly Hunter, have no issues with her as an actress, but this Captain Nala Aki, I'm not sure how to feel about her yet. She sits really weird on her seats. Okay, fine. She walks around barefoot. Okay. She's kind of this unique character. She explains that she's lived for hundreds of years. I haven't really understand what they did. I read somewhere what species she was. I've never heard of that species. I didn't know if it was something like what Whoopi Goldberg's species was or something along those lines. That would be kind of cool because they seem like a really cool species, but I don't know. It's some species name I just never heard of. And right now I'm just like, I don't even know how to take her because she's an asshole at the very beginning. Literally puts a mother in prison for stealing food, which she didn't steal, whatever. She just took it from a man who stole it. So, and they know that. It separates a boy and his mother when there was no need for that. So right off the get-go, I'm like, I'm not sure if I like this one. I didn't know if she was the captain. And now we see her through the two episodes, and she's trying to be this sort of noble, grand thing, saying things, and be this sort of hipster woman. And just not sure how to feel about her yet. So she really needs to be written well and better, and really make me feel like she's the noble captain to be in the line of Jean-Luc Picard, Sisko, Janeway, because that's the lineage that you should be shooting for. That's the nobility and the leader that we want and need. So I really hope we get that from her.